So today we have a pretty special kind of hybrid version of the show. We are welcoming on the creators of the Juneteenth Unity Games. So first off, I appreciate you guys joining me. You're fully decked out in the Unity Games gear, looking great. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys taking the time out. And I want to start with the ladies. So either one of you can chime in here, Bariah or Kia, whichever one wants to start. Where are you guys from? Kind of give us a little bit of family background and, kind of let us know who you are.
Hi, I'm Kia.
I'm Brian.
And we are originally from San Antonio. Well, I'm originally from Bryan, Texas. I moved to San Antonio, Texas very early on before high school. And that's where she was born. Yep. And where I met Ivan in high school. We ended up moving here to the DFW area when I was about 11 or 12. And we just been here ever since. We've been in the colony for the last 11 years.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Now, go ahead.
I think part of my story's been told, right? So San Antonio, born and raised, migrated into the Austin area to attend school, and spent a few years in the DFW area, and then back to Austin, where I call home.
Yeah, that's amazing. So full Texas, everything's bigger in Texas, and that's basically the way things are for you guys. Is you continue to grow with the Unity Games. But before we even get to that, I need to know, what drove you to start the Unity Games? Is it and is there some sort of sports background that the three of you share where you said, you know what, sports has always been big for us. Let's bring a little bit of fun, levity, and competition, and put this together. So I'm going to put that on Bariah. So I'm going to let you go ahead and finish that one.
The idea of Juneteenth Unity Games came to us in 2020. Originally, it was just supposed to be a field day that I put together with my friends. We were inside. We were trapped inside because of COVID. Yeah. And so that's where the idea originally popped up. And then honestly, my aunt was like, oh, that sounds like a fun idea. I want to bring cupcakes. And I was like, we can have vendors. I took it to my mom and I was like, I was thinking about doing this. And she was like, we might be onto something here. So we went from there. And honestly, that's when the protests started happening in 2020 with George Floyd and everything. And with COVID and the protests, the world was just like really dark. Like everything was heavy. I was having Facebook arguments every day and it was just a lot. And so it was our way of, we decided to put it on Juneteenth to have it as our escape from reality. To where it was like, we get outside, we laugh, we play, we just have a moment to just be free from how heavy everything felt and bringing our community together because it's not something that's been celebrated in the colony until recently. And so just really, putting our culture on the front lines there.
And she's an athlete. Obviously.
I am an athlete.
And her dad. And so the whole thing was to do it around the sports theme since that's her thing,
Right. And the creativity of it all, because obviously she's creative and artist.
Knowing that sport has historically been something that unifies, it was easier to try to welcome all walks of life to come together, to be together and learn together through lighthearted competition. Right? I'm an athlete. Brian's an athlete. We kid Kia about her athletic career, but she's an athlete as well. And so we thought it was very befitting of our passion for athletics and sports to bring everyone together around that cause.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like it was a family affair. You had people bringing cupcakes, you had your friends getting in on it. That first year, just seeing how people were responding to it, how excited were you, one, to put something together like that, but two, to see the response of, your family and friends wanting to be involved in something like this?
It was really amazing because it started so small. It started just something for friends and family, but then we saw the potential to make it bigger. But we were afraid because we hadn't done anything close to that big before. But we wouldn't stop. We just said, this is what we want. And whatever we said, we made happen. And it turned into something bigger than we thought it could be. And it was amazing to see everyone come and enjoy themselves. Like, when we look back at the pictures, you almost want to cry. Like, we did that, you know, from nothing. We did that. And so it's really exciting.
It was scary for a while. It was really scary for a while because you don't always see what's being talked about or who's going to show. And so we're putting all of our eggs in this basket, and we have no idea what's going to come from it. But for the first year, honestly, it turned out really well. I think we had about 350 people show, and that was pretty much just word of mouth. And so this year we were able to really push it a lot harder, and we've been watching it grow. So it's been really fun.
Yeah, it sounds like it's something that people are putting on their calendars now. You know, it's not, you know, before it was a way to get out of the house. People were obviously looking for a way to kind of break free. But now they're putting it on their calendars. What's it mean to you guys to know that this is a staple for people? This isn't just, you know, a way to just kind of get out and have some fun. They're planning their weekends around it. And not only that, you're not just getting people out of the house. There's a theme to it. There's a teachable moment to it about Juneteenth. You know, what does that mean to you guys as a family putting this together, and seeing how people are starring that day on their calendar now?
Again. It feels good because that was the purpose, you know, to bring people together, and that it's multicultural. So it's not just for us, but for everyone to come and learn. And that picked up more this year because last year, the word about that wasn't out as much. But this year, more people are saying, you know, we have people from all walks of life really joining in and really wanting to be a part. And we wanted to become like a big family, like our family. You know, we love each other, we love family, and we're ready for everybody to just join us, learn as much as you can, and have a good time, you know?
It sounds like it. You know what? And, you know, from that first year, how much have you seen the goal shift? And I want Ivan to kind of answer this, because it sounds like, you know, the ladies were doing a lot of the planning, and Ivan came in and really helped elevate things as well. So I want Ivan to kind of chime in here. How have you seen the goal of it shift as it's gotten bigger and bigger?
You know, I think the I guess potential is limitless, right? In the spirit of bringing everyone together, our mantra is better together. And so we think that we can maybe perhaps have this crossover into other cultures, right? A lot of the ignorance behind some of the division in the world is that we don't take the time to understand, learn, and explore other cultures. And so we see this as an opportunity to invite everyone into the African-American culture, teach on Juneteenth, which again is lowly reported in any history books or school settings. And so there's a lot of folks who just do not know what it's about, why we celebrate, why would we celebrate it, right? There's some conflict in there. Is that a thing to celebrate? But we want to bring everyone together, see that we can all be in the same space, have a great time. And then as we build Juneteenth Unity Games, you know, what does that look like for the Mexican culture, the Irish culture, so on and so forth, right? So we start small. We start with what we know. We start with an intent and a purpose, and then we gradually grow this thing beyond what the initial vision was. And it's a bigger thing, right? Better together is what we're trying to push, and we want to extend that through every culture.
Mm-hmm. And that's what it sounds like. It sounds like you're not just trying to impart wisdom on just the Black community. Like, it has continued to grow. But let's kind of take it back to that origin. Mariah, when you said that you just wanted to get your friends out of the house, everybody was, you know, on Facebook arguing. It was the only way for people to really interact was FaceTime or social media. How many of your friends were in on that first conversation when you said, you know what, we should get out and go play these games. We should just get out of the house. Let's go do something, right? And at that point, you're you're kind of braving the atmosphere of the world, right? Because COVID was still a very viable thing. So how many of your friends are in that group text or are on that group FaceTime when you're saying, hey, let's get out and go do something?
Because a lot of things changed. I think that original call for the field day, probably it was about 5 or 6 of us. Mm-hmm. I had like my best friend at the time was like right here on a hip with it, like we're putting this together. And then like the bigger it got, the things started shifting a little bit with who was there to put it.
It sounds that way. Yeah. So everyone wanted to participate. It sounds like.
Yeah. Everyone is it. If I could speak for Brian really quick, it sounds like everyone wanted to play, but then in the organization of a bigger experience, not as many supporters for the work and the workload, if you will.
Yeah.
And so it quickly dwindled down to Kia and Brian, and then me as a little bit of the hired help that never got paid. Right. And so we all went into our own separate bags to try to pull resources together that would help the event move forward. I had a few folks that worked in the event industry, and I tried to reach out to as many as possible. And surprisingly, a lot of them came to the aid of what we were asking for. Kia being the creative in the family, driving the website and the marketing and the developing of all the content that's been placed. And then Baraya, just a big personality and great at networking, reaching outside of her circle, because her circle had kind of, fizzled out a little bit in the aspect of work, but reaching outside of her circle to bring other folks who were just excited about the project as they were and as I am. And again, year one would be largely considered a success.
It sounds like it. And I mean, that's kind of how you figure out who's in and who's out, right? Is you increase that work. And when the work increases, sometimes the people decrease. But it's good to see that, you've had a really tight-knit group around you guys to kind of help you shepherd this through, right? Now, Kia, I want to ask you a question because, we were at the onset, we talked about where you guys are from. And you said, I was here, we moved here, but I've always been in Texas. Now, having this event in Texas and knowing what Texas and how Juneteenth and Texas go together, what does it mean to be able to bring something like this to your own neighborhood?
That was really a big deal to be able to do that. We really wanted to keep it in our neighborhood because we don't have anything like it. Well, now things are starting to happen now that it's a national holiday. But before that, it was nothing like we did. There's big 4th of July celebrations, but there's no Juneteenth or anything like that. So to bring it here was probably one of the most important things, is to make sure we had it in our community for our people, that we don't have to go so far out to like Dallas, it was more things out there, but nothing for us here. So us being the first that I know of here was very important, and it felt very good to be able to do that. And that even the city now is getting behind us. And so it should be bigger and bigger every year because of that.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of just glossed over it, and we're not just going to let that pass by. Talk about the city involvement now. How has the city gotten involved with this?
It's mostly talk now, so we don't want to say too much, but they're behind us where they're now posting and on their websites and stuff for people to come out. Yeah, for the community to come out, and more people in the community are seeing it without us having to make sure we're everywhere, And so we definitely appreciate that, and we have lots of ideas for them to get behind us more. And after this event, we'll go reach out to them and see what we can get done to make it even bigger event next year.
Yeah. That's incredible.
I think there's there's been an opportunity, as Kim mentioned. I mean, Juneteenth celebrations were largely in Dallas and Fort Worth, right? And so the North Texas area, canvassing the demographics of that area, we saw an opportunity where an underserved community weren't really being given anything to where they could, also congregate and enjoy without having to take a 30, 40 minute or even up to an hour drive and be a part of it. There's enough community in those small cities of the Colony, Frisco, McKinney, and the like to put together a great event celebrating the historical content that we were trying to provide.
Mm-hmm. Now, as you continue to grow, what's and I'm going to pass this to Ivan. What's the cultural impression that it's made and the cultural impact that it's made on the area around, and how much have you seen a response? I mean, you talk about the city getting involved and more people coming and everything else, but culturally was where you really wanted to impact a lot of people. How have you seen that cultural impact since starting this?
Look, I think as you mentioned, the more people we get to participate, the better we have an opportunity to build those bridges and tear down those walls. We hope that each year we continue to have success, and that as the populations grow, the cities are a part of it. That's a big key. That if the city's behind it, I think then we grow even more rapidly than we could ever anticipate to grow. And so our open conversations with the city, continuing to impress upon them the overarching goal of being better together. Again, we stress that point. We are better together, right? I'm wearing a shirt right now that has all these different facets of where divide happens, be it religion, be it politics, be it race. All of those things work negatively against us, right? And so we use Juneteenth as an opportunity to say, okay, well, here's a day where we were still divided, even though we knew there was some freedom there for a certain group of folks. We weren't all free, right? And so once we were able to take the cap off that, and that news was then delivered to the slaves of that moment, we celebrate because that's how we feel like they would have celebrated, right? Mm-hmm. And the more we are able to bridge the gap, the more celebrations I believe we can have as a nation, as a world, as a population, as a species, right? Again, we're divided because of ignorance. So our biggest cultural impact will be to tear down those walls, right, and remove the ignorance so that we are better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Bariah, for you now, we already touched on the goal initially was to get out of the house, get people to be a little bit more active. As things have gotten bigger and bigger, how has that goal shifted, and what is it that you want to kind of impress upon, and where do you see this going maybe 3-5 years down the road?
The goal shift for me was not just getting out anymore, but it is more so using our platform, where it's so fun still. We still don't want it to be too heavy all the time. Still be fun, but to still use our platform to make it a teaching moment. Like we said, our biggest thing is getting anybody who's willing to learn and participate to just understand, more about our culture, putting it in the forefront, not being embarrassed about things like stereotypes, we have so many things. Like I was just watching a video the other day of why it's a stereotype that Black people love watermelon, and then the connection between people being embarrassed about it, like not wanting to eat it in public or hiding it, and it's something as simple as that, but it was so important to our culture at the time because it was like one of the small things that we had and how we made money, and so it's like to just teach on those small things, and it's not really taught on in school or anything like that. So just to really allow people in our culture and outside of our culture to be a part of that with us. And in the next few years, I think that I wanted to just keep growing into where we are able to, make it more of like a day-long thing or a weekend thing, where it's kind of like a Essence Festival type goal, where you have just you have speeches, you have performers, you have a bunch of different businesses promoting themselves and
seminars,
how
to build a better community. So I want to do things like nutrition classes and Yeah. Therapy, you know, like different sessions instead of just the boots, how we have it now, where people kind of stop through and see, because we added mind, body, and soul this year to promote culture or building for our people, you know. And I want to do it where it's more like seminars set up, and so you can sit with someone and learn to maybe garden, or you know, just things that will help us build, because learning our history is great and we want to make sure we keep that there, but we also want to be able to press forward, to go more towards the future. And so what can we do to better ourselves so that we can be a better community, you know?
Mm-hmm. I love it. I think it's amazing. Lastly, we got to know when this is, right? So we've been talking about it this entire time. Now, let the people that are listening and watching, let them know when this is, where it is, where they can find you guys online. Like I said, you're wearing the awesome merchandise that you guys make, created by Miss Kia. That, you know, let them know all the details of, you know, Juneteenth Unity Games and where they can find out.
Yeah, we can be found on our website, JuneteenthUnityGames.com. Our Instagram is at June19, the numbers, _unity. So June19 _unity. Our Facebook is Juneteenth Unity Games. We're going to be in the Colony, Texas, June 18th, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Perryman Park. Come find us. That's
awesome. That's awesome. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out. This was a ton of fun. I don't think I've laughed so much in an interview ever. This was a really good time. You guys got anything else for us before I let you go?
We'd like to thank you as well for the opportunity to spread the news about Juneteenth Unity Games and our message and purpose. And I'll leave with better together.
Better together.